Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Bryce with BIS Media, and today I'll be going back to B&B theaters to revisit their MX4D seats. But before we dive into what MX4D seats are and my previous experience with them, if you've never been to my channel before, I'd just like to say welcome. If you're passionate or interested in a home theater, movie and video game unboxings, digital movie giveaways, tech reviews, and original music, then consider hitting that subscribe button, click that notification bell to be notified of my future videos, and like this video to help tap into the YouTube algorithm to get this review out to more people. With that being said, guys, let's get this video started. So what exactly is MX4D? Well, it's a movie theater experience offered by B&B theaters and a few other movie chains in only a select amount of locations across the country. I believe it's a little less than 20 total, but I'll include a graphic on the screen that shows all the locations. And rather than these simply being motion seats like D-Box and Cinemark, this is an entire theater experience. And it's not just motion, it has all these listed options you see on the screen. So we have motion, air blast, neck tickler, leg tickler, wind, seat popper, scent, rumbler, back poker, fog, bubbles, snow, rain, and strobe. Now that is a ton of effects, and from my past experience, very awesome. I've only experienced MX4D once, and that was almost 5 years ago to watch The Predator, which we all know as the worst entry in the franchise. You can check out that video in the description or click the card at the top right of the screen. And since it's been so long, I've been itching to get back and see what they've changed and if I think it's still worth it after all these years later. And I will warn you, if you're interested in checking these out, it's not going to be cheap. A single ticket for myself at the earliest show time is $21 after tax if you pay online, or $18 after tax if you pay at the box office. So it's expensive, and it may not be the best date option if you're on a budget. And the reason these tickets are so high, from my understanding, is because it's an entire theater operation, and these are custom-made programs by the company and not from the movie studios, so I guess it makes sense. But all right, guys, I'm about to head out to the theaters to check these out once again. And this time, I'll be seeing the new Flash movie, so it should have plenty of action sequences to fully embrace all the MX4D features. All right, I'll see you guys outside the theater. Okay, so right outside the theater, it has a big MX4D sign so you can see where it's at. There's a big advisory panel if you do have any kind of health conditions, and then it shows the Flash here. And it's theater number 16, so we're going to try to walk in here, and hopefully it is bright enough so you can see something. Last time it was not, it was just pitch black. And yeah, looks like it's the same exact case this time around. Yeah, they keep it really dark in here, which is kind of annoying, especially if you're trying to get some video or even trying to see where you're going, which doesn't help either. So I got my flashlight on here, and it's still pretty dark. And I'm trying to find my seat. It is D7. Coming up on it right now. There it is. All right. And these are all connected in a row, like I've said before. It looks like there's about 4 connected all at once here. So we'll go ahead and take a seat, and then on the left and right, you'll be able to see, it looks like a turbojet is what they call it. And it's got these little vents, which those things are kind of dirty. I need to clean them up. But okay, that is all the elements that I can see. And so this movie's about to get started, guys, and I will let you guys know what I think after the movie's over. All right, guys, I just made it back from the theater, just hanging out in the garage. Thought I'd hurry up and give my opinions while it's still fresh in my mind. And before I even get into the MX4D seats themselves, I gotta say the Flash was absolutely a fun movie. Had plenty of action, cameos, witty dialogue, you name it. It was a pretty cool movie. I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding it just because of Ezra Miller. But I honestly thought it was a pretty good movie, a lot better than a lot of the other entries in the DC universe. I did have a friend say I didn't really follow the comics, but I honestly don't ever read comics anymore. So I don't really know if it keeps track of it. But just from a movie standpoint, I thought it did do a pretty good job. And I do want to apologize. I tried to do my best to get, a little bit of video of walking into the theater, but they keep it so dark in there. I mean, I got there before the previews itself even started, and it was still super dark. And even after the movie itself ended, it was still almost completely dark in there. So I was like, well, can't do much about that. Maybe one of these days, if I go back again, I can try to get a picture of it. It's a video of it with the staff turning on the lights. That would be a great shot, but I'd have to wait until everybody's completely cleared out of there. And I just didn't have the time for that. But I will say the theater experience was great, but not as memorable as my first time going. Whenever I said that was either 4 or 5 years to go to watch The Predator, I feel like there just wasn't as many of the different things used, I guess, in the theater this time. Mainly in The Flash, there was just a lot of motion going on constantly because he's running, of course, cars crashing, that kind of stuff. There was a lot of wind because he's running, which I thought that was kind of cool. It even made it a little bit cold in the theater too, which on a hot day, I'm not complaining too much. And there was a little bit of strobe and a little bit of water kind of action going on too. I feel like when I watched The Predator about 4 or 5 years ago, every time there was gunfire, there was strobe lights. There was some gunfire in this one, and there wasn't really any strobe lights associated with that. It was only when the Flash himself was like charging up and he was running, and there was some lightning coming off of him, and then the strobe lights would go off. So I'm not sure if maybe people complained about the strobe lights too much, and they decided not to do that. I'm not really sure on that part. And I would say my favorite parts in the movie itself, as far as how the sequences were used, was honestly the opening sequence. He's charging up to run, and you can just feel all the seats like going way back, like you're about to be launched. And I was like, oh shoot, I'm about to go flying here. And then just goes shoom, and it just shoots you forward. That was pretty cool. There was another scene in the movie where he is opening a beer and it's been shaken up. So whenever he opens it, it like sprays out everywhere, and it feels like it actually like sprays you in the face. I thought that was kind of cool. And then there's another scene where he's running on the water, and it feels like there's actually like water splashing on the back of your legs, like the water is like shooting up onto your legs. I thought that was pretty cool too. And the movie itself is about 2.5 hours or so. So the seats did become to feel a little uncomfy. I'd say probably about after an hour, and mainly because there's just not a lot of cushion and these seats can't recline. That's the only bad thing I'd say with these seats, is like you're just sitting there just straight up rigid for the most part. Like you can kind of relax a little bit, but not a whole lot. And there's some cushion on the back. Like there's a small cushion in the seat itself. So it does try a little bit, but there's not much going on with the armrests. Those were just like a hard plastic. So that was kind of a bummer as far as that goes. And I know most movies are not going to be 2.5 hours either. This is, something different completely this time, because, it's a 2.5 hour movie. If it was maybe like an hour, hour and a half, it probably wouldn't be bad at all. And I was also wearing joggers, some Jordan joggers, which are basically like basketball shorts, but just in a pants form. And so that's going to be a really smooth material. And I felt like I needed to be strapped in with these seats, because especially like in the opening sequence, when I told you guys that it felt like it was like launching me, it felt like I was about to go flying out of the seat, because I was like sliding everywhere in the seats to begin with. And I felt like I had to hold on to the armrest because I was sliding so much because of the material of my pants. So that kind of sucked too a little bit, because I was having to like hold on as much as I could. But I think if you wore like jeans or something that's maybe not so smooth, like basketball shorts or basketball pants, then you probably wouldn't have to worry about it. But I would say those are really the only negative cons. I just wish there was more of the elements used, I think, this time around. Whenever I watched The Predator 4 or 5 years ago, they had smoke going on, and they used the strobe lights a lot more, I believe, with the gunfire, which I thought made a little bit more realistic. Especially the smoke, I thought that was really cool, because there was a ship that had crashed, and you could almost smell it like it was like burning, or something had just crashed. And they actually had like smoke coming out from underneath the screen, if I remember correctly, and that was pretty freaking awesome. So I think your experience really will just vary on the movie itself. All the movies I've ever seen them put in MX4D are going to be some kind of action movie. I think they honestly also do horror movies as well. I'm not sure how well that would interact with that. It'd probably just be something that kind of play into jump scares, I would think, which would get you, because a lot of the jump scares do make you jump. So adding in the motion seats and everything else would probably just make it come to life even that much more. But honestly, I think that everyone should at least go maybe 1 or 2 times a year. I still had an absolute blast, even though it wasn't as good as the first time. But like I said, I think it really comes down to the movie and what kind of elements they can really play on, because every movie is going to be a little bit different when it comes to action, or if it's a horror movie, and what they have to offer during the movie. So just really depends on what movie you go watch, and I honestly think it's still a blast either way. And I honestly can't wait to go back. Even though it was almost $20, I honestly think it was absolutely worth it. Well, all right, guys. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Do you guys ever go to an MX4D theater? Do you even have one near you? And what are your thoughts if you have been if you have been to an MX4D theater before? And tell me your thoughts in the comments. All right, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to be notified of my future videos. Like this video, and like I said, leave me a comment and tell me what you think. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.